It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life. From the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators. The famous and not so famous. The controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here is Douglas Coleman.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. Thank you for being here. I'm always happy to be here with you. We're back to the music today. Today is a full music show with 2 interviews and 1 featured track at the beginning. The featured track is an interesting one. It's by a Japanese heavy metal band called Marching Out, and this was sent to me on Facebook. It's very reminiscent of the 1980s heavy metal bands. Got a nice sound to it. The band members are, on vocals and drums, Kazu Rock, which is probably his stage name. His name is Dr. Kozo Suganuma. And forgive me if my pronunciation of these following names isn't the greatest, but I'm doing my best. On guitar, we've got Tsuyoshi Hayashi, and on bass we've got Keiichiro Fujita. Anyways, it's a nice track. That'll be up first, followed by Jordan Casty, who is the founding member of a band called $11 Bills, and they've got a single out called Waves, which we will play during the interview. And then finally, we've got Sam Rochford, who is a singer-songwriter originally from New England and now living in Nashville. And she's got a single out called So Easy. We'll be playing that one during the interview as well. So, without further ado, here is Marching Out and their title track to the album Rock Will Never Die. Okay, please welcome from the band $11 Bills, Jordan Casty. Hi, Jordan. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Douglas. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Your band is called $11 Bills. How long have you guys been together?
This has been, there have been a few different iterations of this band with different members, but this lineup has been going about a year and a half now in Los Angeles. We've never been so psyched up and ramped up, and this is the best lineup yet.
How many lineups have you had?
Countless. People come in and out. It's just like a tribe, basically, but the sound remains the same, and it's this feel-good rock and roll thing. But this latest one has been pretty consistent now, and so we're moving forward. We're getting a lot of momentum because of the consistency. We're able to build up more exciting shows and exciting moments in our shows and on our record, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, give me a little background on yourself. Tell us where you're from and how you got into music and what you've been doing for, I don't know exactly how old you are. Looking at your picture, I'd say you're in your mid-late 20s, maybe?
Yeah, I'm 27.
Okay.
I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised right in the city of Chicago, and my mom was a singer, and so she was always singing. There was always awesome music in the house, great soul music, Motown, rock and roll, the whole spectrum.
Great.
And she really encouraged me to pursue music. She sort of chained me to a piano when I was 8 years old and made sure that I got music in my life. And I really hated piano, but when I wanted to quit that, she said I could quit if I picked up some other instrument. So when I was 10, I picked up guitar, and that was what really sucked me into being able to perform my own music. And then I got a new teacher when I was 16 that really opened my eyes to lead guitar playing, like taking solos and stuff, and that was a real game changer too. And then I went to school in Boston, and I studied songwriting, I studied guitar and vocal performance, and put a lineup together of $11 Bills out there. And then after graduation, we toured all over the country. We just had awesome adventures, and that lasted about a year and a half. And then I moved out to Los Angeles, been here for about 3 years now, and put this new lineup together and made this new record that is super exciting, and a music video that's coming out next week, and we're off to the races now.
Oh, very cool. You cut out just there for a second, but I think I know what you said. You said Boston, right? You went to school in Boston.
Yes, Berklee College of Music.
Right, okay. I'm originally from Boston. I know that area very well. It's on Boylston Street, and I've been by.
Yeah, Mass Ave.
Mass Ave, right. I haven't lived in Boston since 2005. I moved to Las Vegas. Definitely have spent most of my life in Boston. So very cool city, very great place for music. Berklee is certainly one of the best schools around. Tell me a little bit about Berklee. What was your experience like there?
Sure. It was pretty magical there. It's a very concentrated area in terms of serious musical energy. People who are really dedicated to their craft, getting better, and really diving into how deeply they can express themselves through music. And when you've got people raising the bar like that all around you, you just can't help but get better and better and go deeper into your musical experience. And also the teachers there were spectacular, and they've got great resources. We had people some of my heroes coming through to do Q&As and Paul Simon came through a couple of times, and John Mayer came through, and they would just give their time to us in such a beautiful way. So I feel really lucky to have been able to go there and be in the middle of such a great environment.
Now, did you have to audition for that?
Yeah, it was. There was an application, and then they called me out for an audition and an interview. And it seemed like the audition was catered to the way that I had been learning how to play guitar. I got in just on guitar, and then I switched to vocals later. But I had always been learning. My teacher was teaching me through improvising over blues tracks and sort of playing by ear. And they really focused on that in the audition, so it seemed meant to be in that moment. and they liked me, and they let me in, and it was a really cool 4 years.
Now, Berklee is not genre specific, meaning if you're a classical musician, you can go there as well as a rock and roll musician can go there. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's it definitely can develop any skill of any genre. They've got jazz people there and classical, and they've got a musical theater program. And but the one thing that really drew me to is that it does have a really well-renowned, really awesome rock and roll and pop music aspect. A lot of schools are more specific in terms of classical or jazz study. I'd say most schools are in the U.S. Sorry. Yeah, I was just really drawn to it because they do have cool, like, contemporary music going on there.
I was curious if singers were also eligible to get in. If that's what you do is just sing, couldn't you go to Berklee?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
There's a huge vocal department and lots of students there who don't play an instrument, and they just sing, and that's where most of the girls at the school are. It's like the vocal department is very female heavy.
Okay. Now, you are also a songwriter, correct? Did you develop that later, or have you been writing all along?
Yeah, I am a songwriter. My biggest hero in music is Bob Dylan because of the way he writes. And, $11 Bills is actually, the name actually comes from a Bob Dylan lyric. And so, yeah, and when I went to Berklee, that was what I majored in. I was studying songwriting. I've been writing since I was about 16. I think I wrote my first song at 16. And then I've written all the songs I've ever put out, and I always bring, it starts with songs that I write that I bring to or sort of pieces of songs that I write that I bring to the band, and then we develop them from there. But yeah, writing has been a huge part of my life.
I want to talk a little bit about your process because it's always interesting to me to hear how people will put a song together. You said that you'll write something like kind of a rough draft, if you will, and you bring it to the table, and the other guys will you'll go through it and kind of develop it. Do you ever get really hypersensitive about your baby, if you will? Because I've heard this story from other musicians where they'll bring it to the table and the other guys, no, we got to change this part, take this out, move this over here, do this. And by the end of the day, the song isn't the same thing that you started with or that you thought you had. And it can be very upsetting to songwriters who are particularly sensitive about their material. Do you find that to happen, or is it much more cooperative and friendly with your guys? Well,
yeah, I've definitely had that experience before, and especially moving to a new city when I first got to Los Angeles, I was just feeling around and writing with everybody that I could. Everybody I met who was in music, it's a great way to get to know somebody. Just sit down and try to write a song together. So I would go through a lot of sessions that worked and some that didn't work. And I think the important thing when you're writing, and when you're writing for your own project especially, is when somebody you really respect their taste and their skill, and so you can take everything that they say and they trust you as well to bring your own taste to the table, and you can come up with the best thing that works for both of you. But yeah, I've definitely been in situations where somebody thinks they know better than me, and maybe they do, and I just really have become attached to something, and it's a process. It's an emotional thing. We're really juggling and crafting emotion through sound, so it's like hard not to get personal about it,
Well, exactly. And I mean, egos have broken up the best bands in the world for the most part.
Yeah.
There were always, other situations going on, but I think the bottom line was that, certainly with the Beatles, all kinds, I'll name any band, and it was always sort of a conflict between the writers somehow.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to keep a band together. When it works, when everybody's in sync, it's magic, but behind the scenes, there can be a lot of bitching and moaning and fighting, and
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really, to forge a creative path and to have a distinct creative direction with more than one party involved is definitely tricky. I mean, it's it's got to, because you're like, they're invisible, right? Like I can't know exactly how the other person sees the vision of this band going. And it's up to us to communicate well. That's the real key, is that if we're communicating all the time and thinking about the future together, then it seems to work. But you're right that it's a tricky thing. It's no easy task.
You had mentioned Bob Dylan as one of your influences. Who were some of the other people that you liked, that you listened to growing up?
Sure. Yeah, well, you mentioned the Beatles. They're one of my favorite bands ever, for sure.
Oh, good choice.
And I've gotten a lot of inspiration from them, and Rolling Stones, and then in terms of just voices, Ray Charles is probably my favorite male singer of all time.
Nice.
And Joe Cocker, and then the female side, I've got Aretha Franklin on repeat all the time. And more contemporary stuff, I'm into Alabama Shakes and Cage the Elephant and Black Keys. Those are some heroes of mine. I'd really love to be able to hop on a few dates of their tour sometime soon. And I know the band loves them too. And we're always trying to get new inspiration from new bands and see if we can team up with people who are doing things that are in a similar vein than us and really join forces, so.
Well, it's nice for me to hear somebody who's 27 years old likes all of that music, because I'm 55, so I grew up with a lot of that music. And quite honestly, a lot of what's out there now I don't like. I like some of it, but I think it's gotten a little bit too computerized and a little bit too little human factor.
Yeah.
And so when I hear somebody your age saying, oh, it's the Beatles and Aretha, and I just go, oh, good. There's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's part of the mission of $11 bills. We're trying to keep the human factor in there. We're trying to keep our human personalities coming through. And, some people call it an old school thing, but I just don't, I just want to stay human here.
Right.
I just want to keep. I think that sort of translates into what I think of as rock and roll. When you get human emotion and the human passion behind it.
Well, it's the soul that gets lost. The more the computer is. Now, I love computers for mixing, recording, mastering, all of that good stuff. But the actual creation of the music, if the computer is doing too much of it, you lose the soul of the music. And I listen to some of that music that's just, all MIDI sounds and computer drums and everything. And it just leaves me cold. Where if I listen to Aretha sing or Ray Charles sing, it gives you that shiver up the back of your spine.
Absolutely.
And then that's what's lost with the computer. It can't duplicate that. And a little sad to me that, that the music is going in that direction. But, there are bands like you who are still doing it. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. Got to get to your song here.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to.
Your song is called Waves, and it's going to be on your EP. Is your EP out yet, or is it coming out soon?
No, the EP comes out in September. We're going to have it on vinyl, too.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, tell us a little bit about...
Yeah, we're excited about Waves. It just came out last week, and we had an epic release show and party at the Viper Room. So many awesome people came out, and we had a spectacular party. And we've got a music video coming for it next week. And the song is basically about just taking all experiences that life throws at you and maintaining your joy and maintaining your celebration through any kind of hardship or through any kind of challenge. It's about riding the wave of the situation and enjoying it while you do.
Okay. Well, let's have a listen to it. This is Waves by $11 Bills.
Be the day, we could be the night. We could be the dark, we could be the light. We could be the cannon shooting stars across the sky. We could be whatever feels right. Just step out into the sun, soak it up before it's gone. Move your feet and sing along. We will be forever young. Let your spirit get you high, like a feather in the sky. Keep the moment with a smile upon your face. We're all just riding the waves, hey, yeah. We're all just riding the waves, hey, yeah. Someone stole your keys, someone crashed your car, and someone had it all till someone broke your heart. You could spend your life trying to bend it back in shape, or you could get out of your own way. Just step out into the sun, soak it up before it's gone. Move your feet and sing along. We will be forever young. Let your spirit get you high, like a feather in the sky. Keep the moment with a smile upon your face. We're all just riding the waves, hey, yeah. We're all just riding the waves, hey, yeah. We're all just riding the waves. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Riding the waves, riding the waves. I'm just riding the waves. We're all just riding the waves. Just step out into the sun, soak it up before it's gone. Move your feet and sing along. We will be forever young. Let your spirit get you high, like a feather in the sky. Meet the moment with a smile upon your face. We're all just riding the waves, hey, yeah. La 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 la, yeah. Just step out into the sun, soak it up before it's gone. Meet the moment with a smile upon your face. We're all just riding the waves.
Ah, very nice. You know, I get a lot of musicians on the show, and I'm a musician myself. Listening to that, nothing came to mind straight away like, oh, it sounds like these people, it sounds like that, which I think is really good because it means you've kind of got your own sound. And
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't pinpoint anybody. It's reminiscent of a lot of people. So I think what's good about it is that you've sort of taken all of your influences, thrown them in the blender, and your own sound sort of came out of that. So it's great. It's a nice song. It's got a real sort of happy feel, up feel. It's commercial in the sense that, you know, you could definitely sync license that song, I think. It would lend itself to
Well,
that.
thanks.
Yeah, I can see that or hear that on a commercial for sure. So, yeah.
Well, those are all
Good job.
really nice things. Thank you very much.
Very good job.
Yeah, I think it's really important to blend your influences.
Yeah, you don't want to sound too
and
much
keep
like somebody, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's good to listen to a lot of different kinds of music and new music all the time, and we try to do that as a band and just sort of create what sounds like our own thing. You know, get our own path, our own lane, our own energy going.
Right. Tell us who the other band members are and what they do in the
Oh,
band.
for sure. On bass, we have my good friend Roland LaFox. He did all the design work as well. He's an incredible graphic designer and illustrator, and he did our logo and our single cover and our album cover, and he's just an incredible musician and great singer and incredible bass player, and we just met out here on the Hollywood scene. He was playing in different bands, and I would see him at bars and stuff, and we just became close. And then on guitar is my friend Lucas Neufeld. I saw him playing with a different band as well in Hollywood, and I knew I had to hang around this guy and catch more of his vibes. So we've just been great friends now. We've been surfing after that. He taught me how to surf, and then he was in the band. Nice. And he's killer at singing. He's a killer writer too, and looking forward to doing more writing collaboration. And on the drums is our good friend David Allen. I met him out at Jams too, just out on the scene. We were there's a thing called the Sunset Jam, which I'm super happy to plug because it happens every Monday night in Los Angeles at Viper Room, and it's headed by Eric Himmel, and it's sort of this thing where there's a giant community of people. There are probably 100, 150 people who all play instruments, and they put up a different band for each song of the night. So 4 people get up and play one cover song that they've all been learning during the week, and then that band gets off. 4 new people get up and play a different song they've been learning that week. And it happens every Monday night where you see, 100 different performers, and everybody gets to go up on stage and do their thing. So I met a lot of great people there, including both Roland and David Allen I met at that Sunset Jam. So
now, are you singing?
Hollywood's an epic place to meet musicians.
Oh yeah, definitely. Are you singing on Waves? Are you the lead vocalist?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've got some really great background singers too. My friend Nyla McDaniel, who I met because we were playing in a cover band together, and Jessica Gorman, who went to college with me, and it's a real love tribe going on, making these projects in the band.
So what are you doing now? What's your schedule at the moment? Are you playing somewhere, or are you?
Yeah, we just got a show in Hollywood. It's called it's at a place called Pourvu, really cool bar. We're playing there July 11th, and then we're playing at Sayers Club after that. I think it's going to be on the 25th. We're going to do an acoustic show. And then after that, August 9th, we're playing a super cool bar in Hollywood called Harvard and Stone. And throughout all this time, we're releasing the music video, and we're doing more radio promo, and we're booking the tour for September.
And the tour is going to be U.S. tour?
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty local. We're going to be reaching out to people in Europe to see if we can get over there too. But right now, we're looking to play a lot of college campuses in the U.S. and anywhere that wants some good rock and roll.
Well, sounds great. Well, Jordan, we got to kind of wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell us your website, please, so people can come and check you guys out.
Sure. Thank you, Douglas. We're on all the social media stuff, but I think our most active is probably our Instagram, and that's at $11 Bills Official. And you have to spell the word 11, not the number. And then if you want a one-stop shop for all of our stuff, it's $11billsband.com.
Who came up with the name?
Stay in touch with us. Let's be friends.
Who came up with the name for the band?
That was me back in college. I was just, I loved Bob Dylan so much, and I saw that a lot of different bands got their names from going through their favorite artists or their favorite writers' song titles and lyrics. So I just started combing through all Bob Dylan's lyrics and got to Subterranean Homesick Blues, which is a killer song. And I heard this line that had the phrase $11 bills in it, and it just sounded like something catchy that could stay in your mind. So stuck ever since.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a great name.
Thank you.
And I didn't know it came from Bob Dylan, so that's cool too.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
All right, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the show. Best of luck. Look forward to the EP coming out and the video.
It's my pleasure, Douglas. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Hi there, this is Stuart Epps from the UK, record producer, engineer, You might have heard of me. I've worked with artists from Elton John to Led Zeppelin to Bad Company, Twisted Sister, Robbie Williams, Oasis, many, many great bands and artists in the past and the present and hopefully in the future. But you can work with me as well. You know, all you got to do is get in touch with me on epsmusicproductions.com. That's EWPSproductionsmusic.com. And I can help you with your productions and with your recordings. A lot of people do home recordings now, which you can only take so far. Maybe they need a bit of professional help. So get in touch with me and we can sort it out. And thanks for Douglas Coleman for giving me this spot. Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Okay, please welcome my guest, Sam Rochford. Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Looking at your bio, you're a New Englander or a former New Englander, yeah?
I'll always be a New Englander at heart. I'm from Connecticut and lived in Boston for like 5 years before moving here.
Oh, well, fabulous. I spent most of my life in Boston. I moved to Las Vegas in 2005, but I agree with you. Once a New Englander, always a New Englander.
A New Englander.
Yeah, even though the accent starts to fade away, my heart's still there sometimes.
Yeah, mine comes out a little bit if I have a couple of beers.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the R's start to go away when the more beers you...
Yeah.
It's very true. So anyways, your story is very interesting. You and I kind of have an opposite sort of a bio because I started out as a musician. I've been a musician for 30 some odd years. Only in the last 2 years did the radio show come about. You apparently started on radio and now you're doing music. So that's kind of interesting. Tell us a little bit about how you got into radio to begin with, and then we'll get to your music. We got a song to play as well.
Sure. I've actually been doing music and radio sort of at the same time for the past couple of years. I was being interviewed by an internet station in Boston called WEMF for my music stuff. I was playing in the local Boston scene for a while I was up there, and the interviewer had bit of an episode online. He was having problems with drugs and said some things that I won't repeat during my interview into the microphone. And he was producing his own show, so nobody caught it. And he ended up being let go. And I was having a conversation with the guy that ran the station after the fact. You know, he was apologizing to me that it happened, and I was like, you know, apart from that guy having a hard time, this was really fun, and I would love to come back and do this as in a hosting position, because I know you have an opening now, and it was fun to just be in this environment, even though it was kind of crappy. So I got a once-a-week hosting position at a small internet station in Boston, and then when I moved to Nashville, I applied for a bigger traditional country music station, not knowing really anything about traditional country, and I was lucky enough to get it. So it all happened very serendipitously and accidentally. Music and radio have always sort of gone hand in hand for me.
I know you said you didn't want to mention what the guy said, but did he have like a meltdown or something on air?
Yeah, he spoke explicitly about his drug use, and I'm not just talking like smoked a little bit of pot, like it was hardcore stuff. And then he spoke about Boss's family members in an explicit way, and then he talked about suicidal tendencies. He really melted down.
Oh wow. That must have been intense.
Yeah, I think he's doing okay now. I'm friends with him on Facebook still. I think he's cleaned up and doing better.
Well, good for him. When did you move to Nashville?
I moved to Nashville about a year and a half ago, almost closer to 2 years at this point. I had gone to visit many times before. I had some friends down here just from the times that I visited, and I just loved it down here. I love Boston too, but it's too cold and it's too expensive. And I love the music scene down here, so I decided to take the plunge.
Well, Nashville seems to be a real hotbed for music now, and actually a lot of what used to be called soft rock has kind of migrated over to country. The genres have kind of meshed together somewhat. So you've got a lot of music there that isn't necessarily what I grew up with calling country music. You know, stuff like the Allman Brothers would be considered country music these days, which we never would have thought of it in the 70s, you know.
It would probably be considered more Americana, which is like this new blossoming like buzzword down here. And it's really because I think mainstream country has veered off to be more almost pop, and in some cases even closer to rap music. And I think real traditionalists are looking for new music still, but something that's closer to this traditional sound that's based on, you know, really good lyrics and good instrumentation, and it's less about being catchy and more about substance. I think there's a place for both, but, you know, people that grew up on Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton don't necessarily like things like Hunter Hayes and Florida Georgia Line. There has to be something else in the middle. So that's where I think this Americana thing has risen.
Okay, yeah, there are a lot of new genres around that weren't around when I grew up. But I'm still confused a little bit, and maybe you can help me with the definition. What is the difference between traditional country and new country music?
Well, I think traditional country music, you know, there's a style and there's an attitude that goes with it. The nudie suits, those like rhinestoned, bedazzled suits are part of it. The lyrics are very simple. The lyrics are very wholesome. There aren't a lot of controversial content. It's usually pretty simple musically, 3 chords and the truth. And I think new country is you know, closer to pop music, and it's not always wholesome. Sometimes it's about drinking beer and girls in bikinis.
Okay, so there's not a set of rules that defines what is traditional country or new country per se.
No, and I think that those standards are different depending on who you talk to. If you talk to the program director at my old radio station, he'd probably tell you something a little different than what I said, but he has to think about it all the time because he's the program director for a traditional country music station.
Okay, so you're not doing radio anymore?
No, I stopped about 2 months ago to focus on music.
Okay, why did you make the switch to music, or why did you give up the radio?
Well, I had been working there for over a year, and I just wanted to take music a little bit more seriously. I was working really long hours, and I loved it. I learned a lot about the entertainment industry, and I met a lot of really cool people, but I think it was just time, you know?
Time to do something.
I couldn't really do both at the same time.
Are you a solo performer, or do you have a band?
I'm usually a solo performer. Sometimes I have one other person playing with me, but usually it's just me. Okay,
and you're also writing, yeah?
Yeah, I'm writing a ton. Nashville is a cool place to write, either by yourself or with other people, because everyone here is so talented that you can't help just learning every time you write with somebody else or every time you go to a concert. There's so much here to learn from. It's pretty cool.
Now, are you doing lyrics and music?
Oh, yeah, I do the whole thing.
You do the whole thing, okay. Tell us a little about your process. Do you do it like a job, or does it just come to you while you're driving or walking around? Oh, there's a song, got to go get that one down. Or do you actually sit down and sort of say, okay, Tuesday, 8 a.m., I'm going to write a song?
Well, I'm not doing much at Tuesday at 8 a.m. I'm not really a morning person.
I know, that's a terrible time. I should have said 8 p.m., sorry.
It depends. Sometimes a lyric or like a turn of phrase will strike me when I'm nowhere near a guitar and it's frustrating. But sometimes I'll sit down because I just have a big feeling that I need to write about. So easy that the single that I'm trying to promote was something that I tried to sit down and say, I want to write a song for my sister's wedding. I want it to be a love song about this. And it was hard to do. I didn't have the right starting point, and I threw away a couple of drafts before I got to the finished product. And I actually was with my boyfriend, and we were just joking about something so much that I was laughing so much that my stomach started to hurt. You ever like laugh so hard like you can't breathe and like your abs, it's like a workout. And that's where the beginning of the song came from, that I thought of that turn of phrase, and I was like, that's where the song should start.
Do you prefer to write alone, or do you prefer to have a writing partner?
I think I prefer to write alone for a song that I'm going to show to my friends and fans because it's more personal. But I do really like the process of writing with another person because you always learn something. Even if the song that comes at the end of it isn't perfect or isn't great or isn't something that you're going to publish to the world, you can use the lessons that you take from writing with that person and apply it to your own writing in the future.
Well, that's true. Although sometimes writing with somebody else, on the one hand, they can sort of stimulate ideas that you might not have thought of. You know, oh, I didn't think of it that, or I didn't think to put that chord in there or to use that line in the lyrics. On the other hand, if you have an idea already in your head of how you want the song to go, and when you give it to someone else to work on, sometimes it can change to something that you didn't really want. I've had both experiences, with writing with other people. But
it's a cool thing being that collaborative. You can definitely have a difference of opinion, but that comes with just writing a lot and with a lot of different people. You're definitely going to vibe with certain people more than others. I've had really great writing partners where it feels like we're both coming up with the same ideas, and working with them just means like a way better song at the end of it. And I've written with people where the song that comes out isn't something that I'm super proud of, but you still learn something from every experience.
Who did you listen to growing up? Who did you like?
Well, when I was very young, it was a lot of just whatever my dad listened to. Like my earliest memories of music were the Beatles and Jim Croce and Bob Dylan. When I got a little older and was able to buy my own CDs or download my own MP3s, it was a lot of indie music, a lot of folk music. I love the Mountain Goats. I love Jason Isbell. I'm really jamming on his new album, The Nashville Sound. I love Amanda Shires, The Secret Sisters. I love Lily Allen. So it's kind of eclectic, but my main focus has always really been about lyric. I love a good lyric.
Well, it sounds like you like singer-songwriter types, yeah?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. My mom jokes that I only listen to people that sound like me.
Well, the Beatles didn't sound like you, but I think...
No.
I think I know what you mean, yeah. Well, with that's a good segue. Let's listen to your song. Now, you kind of told us a little bit about it. You said it was something regarding your sister's wedding?
Yeah, my sister got married last year, which was kind of weird because I remember her being like a baby, and now she has a baby and is married.
She's younger than
very
you?
Strange, but yeah, and she's younger than me. It's like babies having babies.
Oh.
And I'm not married, so it felt weird, but it was a very small ceremony. My brother officiated the wedding, and she wanted me to come up and say something, so all the siblings were part of it. And I thought I'd write a song instead of doing a speech. It'd be more entertaining for people. So I sat down to write it, and as I mentioned before, it was really hard. The first couple drafts were too cheesy and too about soulmates and this idea of love that I've never really experienced. So it took, taking a break from writing and sitting with my boyfriend joking about stuff to be like, okay, this is what love is. It's about accepting somebody totally for who they are and being best friends with somebody and, loyalty and respect and working at a relationship. It's not about love at first sight and the stuff you see in Disney movies. It's not real.
No, it's not real after a while. It kind of starts out like that sometimes.
Yeah, it can, but that's not what marriage is about, for sure.
No, definitely not. Marriage is about another job. It's the whole point of keeping it going and working at it, like you said. The commitment. It's not... The moonlight and canoes fade away. and
absolutely.
And it really becomes about trust, and it becomes about... I like to use the word complacency, but a lot of people criticize me for using that word. But when you get very comfortable with somebody, you're complacent with them. Not to suggest that you take them for granted, but it's like they know what you're thinking, you know what they're thinking. You can sit in a room together and not speak for hours, but it's okay. You don't have to be in each other's face.
Comfortability, for sure.
Right. And then to me, that's what a good marriage is like. It's about having that kind of comfortableness with somebody else,
Yeah, and I've never been married, like I said, but I'm in love right now with my boyfriend, and I also drew upon experiences with familial love. I thought about how I feel about my sister. I thought about how I feel about my parents and friends that I've loved in a non-romantic way. I think a lot of those things can be applied to non-romantic love too. I drew upon a lot of those when I wrote it as well.
Yeah, there's some crossover there. There's definitely, especially with family. You know, there's that old expression about you choose your friends, but you don't choose your family. And a lot of people have difficulties with their families. They have arguments, they have disagreements. But you know, there is that kind of, well, it's my family, and I've got to love them through the good times and the bad times, which is similar to a marriage. You know, the only difference is presumably you chose your spouse, where you didn't choose your mother and father. But I think the same rules do apply. All right, well, let's listen to your song. This is called So Easy by Sam Rochford.
Well, this might be a first. Laughed until my sides hurt. And it's a workout, but it's never been so easy. I mean, it's sincere. The joke was funny, but you really had to be there. And if I think too hard, I can't explain it neatly. I don't mind your bad side as long as you don't mind mine. You're always sorry for who you are, but you don't have to apologize. From the outside looking in, you and I might not make sense, but in practice something's never been so easy. I think I could do this forever. Every day with you gets better and better. I'm excited to get up and excited to get sleepy. I don't mind your bad side as long as you don't mind mine. You're always sorry for who you are, but you don't have to apologize. Been here before. We've been in love and then left wanting something more. This is different 'cause it's never been so easy. I learn something new every day. Drink it in like lemonade. I've never wanted to know someone so completely. I don't mind your bad side as long as you don't mind mine. You're always sorry for who you are, but you don't have to apologize. This might be a first. Laughed until my sides hurt. And it's a workout, but it's never been so easy.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
There was quite a few things I liked about it. I liked the chord changes, the chord progression in the verse part where it it reminded me of Jim Croce, kind of, with the the song "I Got a Name." It had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same chords even, but it just, I don't know, something about the mood of it felt a little like that.
There's no higher compliment in the book. I love Jim Croce. It was one of the first guys that I learned to play on the guitar. Was like operator, and not the lead part obviously when I was just starting out, but I would learn the rhythm guitar parts, so like "Time in a Bottle."
Oh yeah, classic songs, great songs. The other thing that I liked about it too was that was a guitar that you're picking like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds like a banjo, but it doesn't sound like a banjo. The picking style sounds like a banjo.
Yeah, no, I
but it's on a guitar.
The banjo before.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a guitar.
Yeah, it's very interesting because at first I thought, oh, there's a banjo in there. And then I listened a little harder, and sure enough, it's not a banjo. It's just the finger picking style is banjo-ish, for lack of a better term. And it has an interesting flavor to it because it gives it that kind of country sort of sound about it. Yeah, very nice. I have to give a shout out quickly to Michael Stover because he always sends me great music, and when I book one of his people, I never listen to the song before the show because I know that what he sends me is always great, and then my reaction can be fresh when I'm with the guest. So
that's real trust. Total shout out to Michael. He's the man.
Yeah, well, he's never let me down. Everybody he's sent over, and I've probably had a half a dozen of his clients on the show, and every one of them, the music was fabulous. So thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
I wanted to ask you about writers' rounds and hippie chick twang. What are those?
Okay. Writers' rounds are cool. They're something that I've only experienced in Nashville. They're sort of like open mic nights, but instead of just playing your song and getting off the stage, you're on stage with 2 or 3 other people, which is cool. And then you take turns playing songs. So you play like 3 songs, but you go down the line and then go back to the beginning and go down the line again, which can be really cool if you're on stage with people that are great and you're vibing with them. It can also be scary. You can be on stage with people that are not good, that are like sort of ruining the energy of the show, and then you have to play after them. You can also be on stage with people that are either way better than you or famous and not know it. I shared a stage with one of my first writers' rounds with a man who wrote the theme song to True Blood. I Want to Do Bad Things With You.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a show that I was not into, but my mom loves. So I've heard that song a million times. But I played a song, and then he was like, I hate to do this, but people are requesting it, so I'm going to play like my hit song. And he started playing something, and the crowd went wild, and then it was back to me, and I was like, how am I supposed to follow that? Yeah, it's cool. It's very local to Nashville, and hippie chick twang isn't something that I do anymore, but it's a local writers' night in Nashville.
It's a local writers' night?
Yeah, writers' round.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, what are you working on now? You have any current projects that you're doing aside from promoting this single?
Promoting the single seems like a full-time job, but I'm writing a ton. I have plans to release new music in the next 6 months or so. I have a lot of songs in the bank, and I'm trying to just pick the best ones. I felt so good about So Easy before it came out, and I want to feel that way about every single song that I put onto the EP. So I'm trying to record with the best people and write with the best people in order to put the best foot forward that I can.
Well, that's a pretty good starting point. That's your first single that you've put out?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know what? That can be good or bad. And the only reason, I hate to say this, but, I've been in this business for so long. A lot of times people put out a really good song as their first song, and then they have a real tough time writing a better one. I mean, not to say you're not going to write a better one, but I'm saying I've seen that before.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll write a better one. You'll write another one and another one and another one, yeah?
That's the plan. That's the plan so far. So just keep writing better songs.
Yeah, well, it's a good challenge for yourself, too, because you can say, well, okay, I got to get better than that one. I got to do something different than that one.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't want to keep writing about the same subject. Like, my sister's only going to get married once, hopefully. So I probably won't be inspired by that again. But I don't want every song to be a love song. I write a lot about, heartbreak. I look back on big things in my life, like moving here, or like, breakups, even if they're from a long time ago, and try to look back and capture moments, especially big moments in my life, now that I have perspective on them. Like, I wrote songs about breakups while they were happening is like a way to cope with them, but it's cool to look back on it now that I'm sort of over things and try to capture the whole moment now that I'm not so emotionally invested.
Sometimes if you write when it's right as it's happening, the song tends to be a little, I don't know, hardcore dramatic, I suppose, and not give...
It's too emotionally vulnerable, and it's hard when you're in the thick of things, see things with perspective. Like, I don't know, when you're going through a breakup, you can't always see how the other person's kind of right too. They're just like, well, I'm right and they're wrong. But when you look back on it, you can see like, oh, maybe I was not the greatest person to be in a relationship with either. So it's kind of cool to look back on it like that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Sam, we got to go. It is
okay.
It is time to go, as they say. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Best of luck. Great song. Really enjoyed listening to that. Might even listen to it again.
Aww.
And
listen to it as many times as you'd like.
And when you get some new material, please get in contact, because I would be more than happy to play it on the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh. Thank you so much for having me. It's really fun.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, that's about all the time we've got for the show today. I want to thank my special guests, Jordan Casty, Sam Rochford, and thank you to Marching Out. This is Douglas Coleman saying goodbye.